has really affected those two scriptures playing out in our lives is the fact that the gospel got turned towards everything that we should get in this life. And that the world, as we live in the fallen world, that we're supposed to get life from that world. So in other words, we can't have peace, we can't have joy unless everything's going right in this world. And we got the church got so focused on everything going right and what formulas that we had to perform to get everything to go right. And so that made it, when you were in a tribulation, you felt guilty. What had you not done? What formula had you not done? There was something wrong with you. Maybe God was upset with you. Maybe you didn't do enough of this or enough of that. And it just twisted the gospel to be something opposite than what it was. Jesus said we would have tribulation in this world. It's just because of the world we live in. It doesn't mean anything. And at least in the circles that I grew up in, if your life wasn't going right and you didn't have all your ducks in a row, that meant you were in sin. You were doing something wrong, and as soon as you got it right, then everything was going to turn out right in this earth. Well, what does that say about Jesus?
That's right. Why is he around?
Right. Things didn't go too smoothly for him.
No.
Nor Paul, nor Peter, nor most of the apostles. They had things, and it didn't mean anything about them. It didn't state anything about their identity. And I think it made those scriptures so that we really couldn't grab a hold of what they were saying, because we couldn't let our hearts even think that we were going to have tribulation, because that meant that we didn't have life. And that's just not true. When you look at Paul and Peter in prison, they had life. They had life abounding. It was God's life, no matter what their circumstances are. And so what I learned putting this message together is, to the extent that the gospel has been perverted in our hearts, that's the extent that we pervert the scriptures that we read. The twist that comes into our heart, it flows out as we read the scriptures, and we read something that isn't even there. But God's life is making it so that everything's being, like I did, I took the hourglass and I turned it right side up. God is turning everything right side up. He's putting everything in the right order. He's showing us what his life always was, what his intent towards us always was, so that we can rest, but rest properly, and we can understand what he's always had for us. Then when we read the scriptures, then they're going to make sense. And we're going to be able to see that all these scriptures that we used to think put burdens on us, they lifted the burdens off of us. We weren't supposed to muster up faith. It's God's faith. We're not supposed to muster up joy. It's his joy. Everything comes from him. It comes from his life. As we just receive it.
I got